What happens when two of daytime TV's most adored personalities sit down for what should have been a warm, breezy conversation, lay for it to implode into one of the most uncomfortable interviews ever aired? Today, we're breaking down the moment viewers couldn't believe they were watching in real time. The moment a simple question detonated into a full-blown confrontation that ended with security stepping in and a household name being escorted out. Before we dive in, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment telling me what you think actually set this powder keg off. Now let's get into it. Kelly Clarkson welcomed Valerie Bertinelli onto her show with her usual brightness, the audience roaring with applause as Valerie strolled out in a burgundy blazer and jeans, waving with that warm, familiar smile she's carried through decades on television. They hugged, Valerie sat, and Kelly launched into easy banter, cooking, new projects, life updates. The audience laughed, nodded, vibed. Everything felt perfectly normal for 7 minutes, then Kelly leaned forward. Her expression shifted, lighter tones fading, journalist mode activated. "Valerie," she began, "I want to ask you about something that's been circulating online. Some people say your recent comments about wellness and body image have been problematic, especially given how open you've been about your own struggles. How do you respond to that?" Valerie's smile vanished. Her jaw tightened just enough for the cameras to catch. "Kelly," she said, "that's a really unfair characterization. I've been intentional, very intentional about what I say. And anyone who listened to my full interviews instead of reading clickbait headlines would know that." Kelly nodded, but her expression didn't move. "I hear you. But the criticism isn't just headlines. Actual health professionals have raised concerns about some of your language. Do you think any of that is valid? Or do you feel this is all blown out of proportion?" The audience went still. Valerie crossed her arms. "I think people are looking for reasons to be offended. Looking for reasons to tear down women who speak honestly. I've never claimed to be a doctor. I've never told anyone how to live. I've shared my story. Apparently, that's controversial now." Kelly lifted her eyebrows. "But with a platform as big as yours, don't you think there's responsibility that comes with that? Especially with topics as sensitive as eating and body image. Young people are watching. People who are struggling are watching. Words matter." Valerie leaned forward, a new sharpness in her voice. "Kelly, I've been in this industry over 40 years. I've been having these conversations long before social media existed. I don't need a lecture on responsibility from someone who hasn't walked in my shoes." A wave of tension rolled through the studio. Kelly's expression hardened. "I'm not lecturing you. I'm asking questions people genuinely want answers to. And I'm a little surprised by your defensiveness." Valerie let out a breathless, humorless laugh. "Defensiveness? You invited me here to talk about my cookbook and my life. And now you're ambushing me with gotcha questions like this is some kind of expose. I'm not being defensive, I'm calling out what this is." Kelly shook her head, voice still calm but iron firm. "This isn't an ambush, Valerie. These are public questions, and I thought you'd want the chance to address them directly instead of through PR statements and carefully crafted posts. Isn't that what interviews are, real conversations?" Valerie stood up. The audience gasped. "Real conversations," she repeated. "You don't want a real conversation, Kelly. You want a viral moment. You want me to apologize, cry, break whatever makes the clip trend. I've been in this business too long to fall for that." Kelly stood too, her voice rising. "Valerie, that's completely unfair. My entire show is built on honest, authentic conversation. I'm not trying to gotcha you. I'm trying to understand your perspective. You're the one refusing to engage." Valerie pointed at her, voice sharp and cracking through the silence. "You sit here in your perfect little studio with your perfect little audience, and you judge people. You play America's sweetheart, But you're just like everyone else in this industry. You use people for content. And I'm done being your content today." The studio went silent. The cameras kept rolling. Kelly's face flushed. "Using you for content. Valerie, you came on my show. You agreed to this interview. And frankly," Kelly continued, her voice cutting through the silent studio, "if you can't handle being asked about things you've said publicly, maybe you shouldn't be doing interviews at all." A ripple moved through the audience. Valerie snatched her purse from beside the chair. "Maybe you're right, Kelly," she said, her tone icy. "Maybe I shouldn't do interviews where the host has already decided I'm guilty before I even sit down." This, she gestured around the studio, was a mistake. Kelly crossed her arms, mirroring Valerie's tension. Running away from the conversation doesn't make the criticism disappear. At some point, you're going to have to actually address it, instead of attacking anyone who brings it up. Valerie turned fully toward Kelly, stepping in closer, her voice low and controlled. "I'm not running from anything. I'm removing myself from a hostile environment deliberately designed to make me look bad. There's a difference, and you know it." Kelly took a step back. Her voice was measured, but the strain was unmistakable. "Valerie, nobody set anything up. You're making yourself look bad by refusing to engage with legitimate criticism. I've had hundreds of guests on this show. We've had tough conversations. The difference is, those guests were willing to have them." Valerie's eyes narrowed into slits. "Don't patronize me, Kelly. You've had a talk show for what, a few years? And suddenly, you think you're Diane Sawyer. I've been doing interviews longer than you've been alive. I know exactly what this is. And I know when someone's trying to make a public example out of me." Kelly threw her hands up. "Make an example. Valerie, you're not a victim. You made comments publicly. People reacted. All I did was ask you about it. That's literally my job." Valerie laughed, a bitter, hollow sound that landed like a slap. "Your job. Your job is to entertain, Kelly, to make people feel warm and fuzzy and sell products in between commercial breaks. Don't stand there and pretend you're a hard-hitting journalist holding powerful people accountable. You're a talk show host who used to be a singer." She shrugged, "and a good one. But that doesn't make you Barbara Walters." Gasps rippled through the audience. Kelly's face drained of color. Her mouth opened, then closed, before she managed to steady herself. "Wow, okay. So now we're just trading insults instead of having a discussion. That's where we're at." Valerie set her purse back down with a thud and folded her arms. "You started this, Kelly. You invited me here under false pretenses. You led me in with fluff questions and then ambushed me with loaded ones designed to put me on the defensive. And now you're shocked that I'm not playing along. What exactly did you think would happen?" Kelly's voice rose, no pretense of calm left. "I thought you'd defend your own words. I thought you'd have thought about what you were saying before you said it publicly. I thought you'd take accountability instead of blaming everyone else for misunderstanding you. That's what I expected." Valerie stepped in again, close enough that the cameras had to adjust focus. "You want accountability? Fine, let's talk accountability." The audience leaned in. "Let's talk about how you've built an entire brand on being relatable and down to earth, while living in a mansion with a team managing every aspect of your life. Let's talk about how you preach authenticity while reading lines off teleprompters written by 10 different producers. Where's your accountability, Kelly?" Kelly's jaw dropped. "That has nothing to do with the conversation we're having. You're deflecting because you don't have an answer." Valerie shook her head slowly. "No, I'm pointing out the hypocrisy of you sitting there judging me when you're just as manufactured as anyone else in this business. The only difference is you've convinced people you're not." Kelly pointed at her, hands trembling. "I have never claimed to be perfect. I've talked openly about my struggles, my mistakes, my journey. But what I don't do is spread potentially harmful wellness messaging and then act outraged when it's questioned. That is the difference between us." Valerie's voice went calm to calm. "The difference between us, Kelly," she said, "is that I've earned my place through decades of work. Through highs, lows, public scrutiny you couldn't imagine. You got a golden ticket from a singing competition and rode that wave to where you are now. Don't lecture me about earning anything." The audience murmured, some uneasy, others riveted. Kelly's eyes blazed. "A golden ticket. I've worked my tail off for everything I have. I've put out albums. I've toured. I've built this show from the ground up. How dare you diminish that because you're angry I asked you a tough question?" Valerie picked up her purse again, her voice steady but weighted. "I'm not angry, Kelly. I'm disappointed. Disappointed that someone I thought was better than this someone, who knows what it's like to be a woman in this industry, would pull a stunt like this for ratings. It's beneath you." "A beat, or at least, I thought it was." Kelly's voice cracked, just slightly. "This isn't a stunt, Valerie. This is me trying to do my job with integrity. I'm sorry if that makes you uncomfortable, but I'm not going to softball questions just because someone is famous or has been around a long time," Kelly said, her voice trembling but firm. "Everyone deserves to be asked the hard questions, including you. Including me." Valerie turned toward the exit. "Then ask yourself some hard questions, Kelly," she said, without looking back. "Ask yourself if this is really the kind of show you want to run. Ask yourself if ambushing guests is the legacy you're proud of. I hope you can live with the answers." "Valerie, don't walk out," Kelly called after her. "We can finish this like adults. You don't have to run." Valerie stopped, turned. Her voice rose, sharp and ringing. "I'm not running. I'm choosing not to participate in your circus anymore. There's a difference. And the fact that you can't see it says everything about where you are right now." Kelly stepped forward, closing part of the space between them. "My circus?" she repeated. "Valerie, you're the one making a scene. You're the one who couldn't handle a simple question and turned this into whatever this is. Own that, at least." Valerie's face flushed red. "A simple question? Kelly, nothing about what you did was simple. You came at me with an agenda, a narrative already written in your head. And when I didn't follow your script, you got defensive. That's not journalism. That's not even good television. That's just mean." Kelly stopped about 10 feet away, planting her feet. "Mean? I've been nothing but respectful. I asked a question. You attacked me personally. You insulted my career. You questioned my integrity. And I'm the mean one?" She threw her hands out. "Do you hear yourself right now?" Valerie's voice shook with fury. "You ambushed me on national television. You made me look like a villain who doesn't care about people's health. You twisted everything I've said into something ugly, and you did it smiling, which somehow makes it worse." Kelly's eyes brimmed with tears, though her voice stayed steady. "I didn't twist anything. I repeated things you actually said. If you don't like how they sound when they're said out loud, maybe that's something you need to think about. Maybe that's the real issue." Valerie wiped her eyes, anger or hurt even, she didn't seem sure. "You know what, Kelly? You're right. Maybe I do need to think. I need to think about why I thought coming here was a good idea. I need to think about who I can trust in this industry. And clearly," she motioned between them, "you're not on that list anymore." Kelly's voice fell to a whisper the microphones barely caught. "That's really how you want to leave this? After everything? After years of being in the same circles? Supporting each other? You're going to burn the bridge like that?" Valerie stepped closer, close enough that the audience collectively held its breath. "You didn't ask me a difficult question, Kelly. You put me in an impossible position, where anything I said would be used against me. You wanted me to grovel, or you wanted me to snap. Those were my only two options. And you knew that when you planned this." Kelly shook her head, tears finally spilling. "That's not true. I gave you every opportunity to explain yourself, to clarify, to help people understand where you're coming from. You chose to make this personal. Not me. You. Valerie's voice dropped into something lower, darker. It became personal the moment you used our friendship, or what I thought was friendship, to set this trap. You think I don't know how this works? You think I don't know you and your producers sat in a room plotting how to get a dramatic moment out of me? I've been played before, Kelly, but I never thought you would be the one doing it. Kelly wiped her face, trembling. We're not friends, Valerie. We're friendly. We're colleagues. Professionals. Friends have real conversations. Friends tell each other the truth, even when it hurts. And if we were friends, you'd know I would never intentionally hurt someone I care about. Valerie let out a sharp, almost hysterical laugh. You're hurting me right now, Kelly. Right here. In front of all these people. In front of cameras that will replay this moment forever. You're hurting me, and acting like you're the wounded one. That's what's twisted about all of this. Kelly's voice rose again. Raw now. I'm not acting like a victim. I'm trying to talk to you. But you keep attacking me. You keep making this about me instead of the actual issue. The issue isn't me, Valerie, it's what you said, and whether you stand by it. Valerie threw her hands up, and the whole studio seemed to hold its breath. She said, Fine. You want an answer? Here's your answer. I stand by everything I've said. I stand by my journey, my experiences, my right to share my story. What I don't stand by is how it's been twisted and manipulated by people with agendas, which apparently includes you. She threw her hands out. Is that what you wanted to hear? Kelly crossed her arms again, her voice clipped. What I wanted was some acknowledgement that maybe, just maybe, you could have been more careful with your words. That maybe you understand why people are concerned. That maybe you care more about the impact of your message than about being right. But clearly that's too much to ask. Valerie's voice dropped to a low, simmering growl. You want me to apologize for existing, Kelly? For being human? For figuring things out as I go? You want me to grovel because some people decided to be offended by my honesty? No. I won't apologize for being real. Kelly's arms fell to her sides. Nobody is asking you to apologize for being human. They're asking you to take responsibility for your platform. There's a difference. And if you can't see that, I don't know what else to say. Valerie grabbed her purse again, this time with finality. Then don't say anything else. Kelly, we're done here. This interview is over. This conversation is over. And whatever relationship we had, that's over too. I hope it was worth it. Kelly's voice cracked apart. Valerie, please don't do this. Don't leave like this. We can work through this. We can still understand each other. Valerie turned her back and started for the exit. There's nothing to work through. You showed me who you are today, and I believe you. Have a nice show, Kelly. Kelly called after her, louder, panicked. Valerie, you can't just walk off my show. We're in the middle of a taping. We have a live audience. You can't just leave. Valerie didn't slow. Watch me. Kelly spun toward the producers, face twisted in desperation. Someone stop her. We're not done. This isn't how this ends. 2 security guards stepped out from the wings, intercepting Valerie. One held up a hand. Ma'am, we need you to return to the stage. You can't leave until the segment is over. Valerie stopped dead, staring at them like she couldn't believe what she was seeing. Then at Kelly. Then back at them. Her voice dropped into something glacial. Are you serious? You're having me detained? Kelly rushed forward. I'm not detaining you. I'm asking you to finish what we started. We can take a break, reset, but we need to finish this properly. Valerie glared at the guards. Move! The guard shifted uneasily. Ma'am, please return to the stage. Valerie's voice cut through the studio. I said move. I'm leaving. You can't keep me here against my will. That's called kidnapping. Kelly stepped between them. Nobody's kidnapping anyone, Valerie. Stop being dramatic. Just come back, sit down, and we'll figure this out. Valerie locked eyes with her. Move, Kelly. I'm warning you. Kelly didn't budge. Or what? What exactly are you going to do? The air froze. Then Valerie shoved past her firm, not violent, but enough that Kelly stumbled. The guards immediately grabbed Valerie by the arms. She twisted, furious. Get your hands off me. Let me go. This is assault. Kelly gasped, stepping back, hand over her mouth. Stop, stop. Let her go. But the guards already had her halfway to the exit as she struggled, her purse hitting the floor. She yelled over her shoulder. You're going to regret this, Kelly. All of you. This will be everywhere. Everyone will know what happened today. The audience dissolved into chaos, shouting, crying, phones up despite the no recording rule. Kelly stood alone at center stage, shaking, staring at the exit doors as they slammed shut behind Valerie. She turned back to the audience, tears streaming. I'm so sorry you had to see that. This was never supposed to happen. We're going to take a break. The cameras lingered for 10 more seconds before cutting away. So there you have it, one of the most intense, uncomfortable, jaw-dropping moments in daytime television history. A conversation that started with a legitimate question and ended with a celebrity being escorted out by security. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and drop a comment below answering this. Was Kelly right to press Valerie? Or was Valerie justified in feeling ambushed? Let me know what you think.